Okay, Yellow Dino over. Now can we get to some webcomics, please? Yes, that's a yes. Now, originally, I wanted to do this a few months ago in 2018, due to my annual round of webcomic coverage, but only one of my continuing reviews got in, and that was part of a Patreon request. And because I was feeling burnt out and the like, I had to postpone it to this month, since Tales of Vesperia comes out this month, and I'll need time to get the footage for that. Either way, at least there's only one continuation on a previous webcomic this month, as after this I got 3 more I want to look at that hasn't been talked about on this show, and you already know what it is from the title of this video. It's more anthros in fantasy video game land with a side of that fairy tale cheese. Though this might be the last time we do UberQuest in a while because we'll be pretty close to caught up, so best not to get too close to where it's currently at. So let's see how far we do get. Previously on UberQuest, Sesame and Claire were escorting Kibbles to where her trial is being held after accidentally killing someone, only to run into Dante, who ends up stealing Sesame's new sword despite getting her butt kicked. We learned some personal history from a few of them. We also get acquainted with some new characters, because it's likely they'll somehow be tied together. And we also met Valmont, who interrupted this program to be a troll. Right now, our heroes are on the run because someone had to steal some magic item and are now falling into a ravine. And now, assuming I don't leave in any more flubs than I had all throughout my freaking life, let's see if they make it out okay. The good news is, they're okay! Yeah. The bad news is, Bob is badly hurt! They beg Kibbles to heal them, even though she's afraid she'll lose control again. But she goes ahead with it, and she succeeds. Good for them! But the wagon is still busted, so Farin decides to leave it to them, and Sesame goes off on him because she thinks it was his fault this happened in the first place. Though Mason thinks otherwise as he goes off on both of them, even calling Sesame the worst guard ever. She certainly feels it, but not as much as the other guy. You're not going to push me around anymore, asshole! Now pick up my cargo! Hey, back the hell off me, man! I said, pick it the up!
I am a man!
You want another, you worthless maggot? Get up, you little... Okay, you get the idea. Mason's done with his crap. Seriously, Farin's just freaking confused at this point and Mason goes and punches a wall. You don't with this buck. He goes to cool off once he realizes he's just like his uncle. And meanwhile, we see the Guild Bros again, with Garrett trying to learn how to create a projection of himself. Guess he's trying to be a battle mage and is having some trouble. So he gets some motivation and there's the cheesecake. I'm sure we're all adults here and that you're used to seeing this in your adult media. Well, it could always be worse. Seems his underlings are fed up with how he's been treating them, and while I think he's still interested in revenge, there might be more to it as they want Kibbles as master, Winsley. In the meantime, what's Kyler up to? Well, they've searched around for whoever sent that one beast from before, but nothing's come up. Then he starts suffering from a headache and collapses. Seems it's not the first time it's happened, but in a dream sequence we learn a little more about him and Joel in their younger years. They seem to have it well, but what's this about a wedding? Were you forced into something? Since your introduction indicates you're still close to each other. Anyhow, he's awake and learns that his father is coming to see him because he had that fall. Apparently he's had those for a long time, and while fortunately his father is a doctor, he doesn't seem too thrilled to be seeing him. But at least he has friends to really care for him, and he might be able to move on. Where's my baby? I need to see him now! Why weren't you at raccoon practice? Well, not only does he have an overprotective mother, but apparently his father still treats him like a child sometimes. In one of the weirdest ways I've seen someone play doctor, by wearing a plague mask.
There, sure glad I don't look stupid in this.
Anyway, after his friends leave, we see that Kyler was indeed married to that one woman in the dream, but judging from how he's acting, he might be having an affair, and the parents don't know. Guess this will be the subject matter for a little while, and we're back to Sesame. I think I already mentioned how often they bounce around groups of characters. If not, well, either way, no sense bringing it up again. They really know when to drop something just to get you hooked for later, but still, it happens far too often. In any case, Sesame is still sulking for having screwed up a bunch, and Kibbles tries to cheer her up. Keyword is try, and she even drags Farin into this somehow, which he shows us what exactly he stole. A dragon eye? He says it's some kind of artifact that he believes will make him rich, only for it to do something odd. It projects something on the wall, some kind of a map, with a message played out to them by a specter of some kind. Greetings, Reverend Farah. This message contains the last remnants of the Act. Oh great, the transmission's bugged. Somebody get Ben Kenobi, he'll know what to do. Sesame's magic scarf seems to react to it, and starts wrapping around it as the specter tells us more about the three realms, the power of this eye, the Ubers, and how they're to protect the balance. But what does it mean? It gets more and more cryptic as it talks about catastrophe and chaos, and the Ubers are what halt whatever is trying to get something. But otherwise, the eye forms a gauntlet that merges onto Sesame's right arm. Farin tries taking it back, but of course, it reacts. So despite the fact that Sesame doesn't want this on her anyway, she has no choice but to keep it since it won't come off by her own will otherwise. Poor Farin will just have to drink from his flask. Jeez, this thing is even looking around. What is it? Sentient? Oh, I know exactly what that is then.
I see.
Well, nothing they can do about it. Time to eat. Meanwhile, Proto is talking to the Pikmin about possibly fixing his vessel. He seems determined to find Claire, and judging from his inner thoughts, he wants to become a real boy. But oops, they get found by kobolds. Those one-eyed rat monsters who just love eating Pikmin. Run, run my steeds. Hurry and hide. Save yourselves. I'll distract them. And caught. Good thing he can tase them, but how long will that last? Luckily, he's saved by an old geezer in black mage garb. Actually, this is that Winsley guy we saw a little while ago. He's receptive enough to ask Proto about what he is and where he came from, and offers to help him out. Guess that will help tie things, since if Claire is looking for Proto, that means they'll get to meet Winsley. But there's a chance Garrett and his bros will find them first. Anything else we can tie with each other in the meantime? Well, we can at least get a certain someone properly introduced, or as Draven arrives to eat with his family, and have father issues as usual. Also, Joel was hired on to be a servant to the king. We see that this Lady Aradel, who just walked in all distressed, isn't actually Aradel at all. It's really Valmont! Entrances are everything! Well, after seeing Megamind, I have to agree with you. Aw, no warm welcomes for an old confidant. That's really quite rude. And here I am, pouring my heart and soul out to you. Cold, Al. Real cold. But your apples are as sweet as they've always been. Maybe you still have a thing for me. Though in seriousness, I think Valmont at least has the power to actually be serious when he wants to be, and be the smug goof that often shows up in external art. I mean, he can disguise himself no problem. He has death knights, it seems, and can blast a person to the wall with one finger. If there's anything that abridged Merrick didn't have is competence, and Valmont is at least being shown to be a threat. And guess what? He wants everyone's as Ubers, which means what happens with this kingdom and its characters will somehow be tied to Sesame and group, just as Garrett's group is being tied to them on account of everyone wanting to see Winsley. And it seems Valmont himself has an Uber, which might be this magic stone he's holding. And indeed, he was the one who sent that beast after Kyler's group. So if nothing else, most of the characters are connected because of him. To make a long story short, Valmont wants them to join him in his upcoming conquest, or else everything they know and love will be destroyed. And given everything he's done in these last few pages, I would believe him. This is the kind of goof you don't with. So going back to Sesame, she seems to dream about some kind of portal that appears in the cave. And here is where things get really bizarre. The portal leads into some kind of laboratory where she finds her friends in pods. In fact, she herself was in a pod. There's writings on the wall. Claire might be doing something with everyone, and we see multiple Sesames in various glass boxes. What is going on? It's only a juncture. You've been here before. Many times, in fact. Roots run deep here. What is one existence to the next? Validity is only for fragile minds. What has sown cannot be undone. Sauron, you've taken the Matrix and fused it with Dead Space. Why are you doing this? Claire, say something. It's all your fault. You caused all this. You're nothing but an anomaly. Oh, goddamn typos. She wakes up at last, and now the creepy eye has further spread to parts of her arm, meaning this was real as the thing rematerializes back into a gauntlet. Well, no one knows what some of her mumblings mean, but Mason takes the time to apologize for yesterday, and they easily make up. He even apologizes to Farin, who was doing a little work on repairing the wagon, even though he does spook him at first. Eventually, Sesame and Farin go out foraging, and it's a chance for them to bond since Sesame doesn't really know much about the outdoors. And if anything, this is probably teasing the possibility that these two might be a pair instead of it being Sesame and Mason. But eventually, they overhear noise, and it's coming from Garrett's underlings. What's worse, they're apparently with the Iron Ward, which was the same group that attacked Sesame's village. And obviously she wants to get at them for what they did. But what is she to do? Well, Farin has an idea. He might be able to persuade them through music, but I don't think that will be necessary. Why? Ah, ye travelers, whose fates are forlorn, come to... And they were just about to really get into making out. I'm not sure what this bit of imagery is supposed to mean, but it might be related to trauma. Well, eventually they ask Farin if they've ever seen Sesame in her group. Sesame is of course nervous about this whole thing and gets attacked by a two-headed bird monster. How is she going to handle this? Meanwhile, Kyler and the group end up in a village where the local guard fawn over him and ask to tell them of his exploits, which he does, and we learn that due to an incident that occurred, the king is planning a public execution. Death by hanging, it seems. To put it simply, the king is very homophobic if he's willing to go out of his way to have people executed for something like that. And while this may reflect reality in how homosexuality was viewed in medieval times and onward, I'm a little sad that this isn't one of those fantasy worlds where it isn't already a natural part of it. Instead, they're still discriminating. In any case, this is going to be painful for Kyler because Joel shows up during their talk of God and he gets roped into going to the bar for drinks, and he's forced to talk like he's a ladies' man. To make matters worse, one of the people being executed was a friend of his, and now, as women start showing up, it's time to at least talk to Joel and attempt to apologize for this rather horrible display. Let me ask you, Kai, do you think I'm stupid? Of course not. Could have fooled me. Honestly, do you think I'd give us away? I've dealt with this all my damned life. I know the consequences. Basically, he goes on to say how Kyler's letting his reputation get in the way of their relationship, and Kyler starts breaking down. He then explains who this Rourke guy is, and how he helped him become a better soldier, and that while Kyler found him attractive, he never once cheated on Joel. But now, he doesn't know what to do since only a judge or royal can pardon his friend. And what follows is that he apologizes for everything, and while Joel still has to bring up that briefing, the two decide to make out. Only someone is peeking through a hole, and so ends this subplot. For now, since that's as far as theirs goes right now. In fact, there's only one more little event we'll cover before we're mostly caught up on this series. Thus, we return to Sesame as she's forced into fighting the two-headed monster. She does kick some ass, even managing to kill one of the heads with a powerful kick, but she doesn't seem to react fast enough to avoid being bitten on her gauntlet arm. But now, as Farin comes back, Sesame's scarf does another incredible thing by stabbing the crap out of the monster. Sesame looks really weakened from that, and Farin goes right to the bag for a healing item. He then tells her about how they want kibbles, possibly as part of some cult ritual. Otherwise, he insists she heal, since she's unsure of what to do right now. So, as we end our coverage, we see the two bond some more, and even the others are bonding while repairing the wagon. Though Kibbles learns that Claire's father is dead, and she has her breakdown about not being able to go home and whatnot. But at least they'll have dinner that night. So, despite the continuing issue of needing to bounce to other characters during certain scenes, at least we're now starting to see more of a connection between all of them. And now we've even gone into some really mind-screw territory with the possibility that one of the characters has been living multiple lives, or is somehow a dimensional anomaly. And it's all because of the artifact that they came across. The art's improved quite a bit since the last time, with some more detailing, which can be seen especially during the freaky moments. Of course, the fan service increased a little, but nothing I'm not used to at this point. I'm still interested to see where things go now that we have something questionably dark brought up, plus Valmont is here to ham it up. But of course, we'll wait until more of the series builds up because we really are that caught up. In about 20 or less pages, we'll be up to date. So sadly, this will be the last time we talk about UberQuest for a while. But at least we had some fun, right? I mean, besides the fan service, and with how this world treats people sometimes, I didn't scare anyone off, right? Just come back next time for Black Tapestries.
Good day! 逃げるぞ！おい！どこ行くつもりか！